Dr. Khan, can I invite you up? We will have a small discussion around some of the presentations, and I just want to kind of summarize the last hour and a half by saying that when you look at the devices, when you look at what people are doing with those devices, then it's almost like a magical world. I mean, 10 years ago, it would have been beyond anybody's imagination that in a dusty village, there's somebody with a device which will finally, at some point, spit money out, right? So now you're talking of drones in America, which will, Amazon will have drones delivering packages to households. So it's a world which we couldn't imagine. But yet, I think through the thread, through a lot of such conferences that I've been to, and some of the conversation here, the goal of cashless India is still some distance away. So I want to pull in Dr. Amrullah Khan and say that what is it that stops us from moving to a full cashless economy, and before that, is it even desirable to do so?
Thanks, Monica. That was exactly what ran through the presentations. The world has changed. In the last few years, we started off this decade complaining about how few of us were included, how much India's economy was a cash-based economy, and today's presentation was just blew the mind away. It's just amazing. But the question that Monica asks is it possible to move towards cashless, and is it desirable? Is it desirable as an economist? Yes, it is. I mean, much of the problem, yesterday's elections being a case in point, much of the problem with corruption is cash problem. And in any case, cash has several problems that are better done away with cashless economy. So that's a desirable outcome in any case. Can we reach it? Till some time ago, it was just about impossible. 70% people outside banking system, 650,000 villages, most of them don't have electricity. All those problems that we have, it just couldn't be possible. And coming from the Gates Foundation where I work, the only solution that we could think of for a long time was mobile money. And we said that okay, till the RBI behaves like it is and does not allow our mobile operators to do banking activity, we never reach there. It is a gone case and India is not going to reach anywhere. And the banking correspondent model that most of you are focusing on didn't appear as if it had anything. But today, thanks to your intervention, it just looks like a couple of years when we have everybody on to some device on each other. So extremely well done, and it just changes at least my cynicism on reaching this idea of a cashless economy where everybody enters into this formal banking system. It really does.
Is it desirable, and if so, what are the problems?
I think I go with that it's desirable, and if we look a couple of years back and look at what has changed, outreach has changed a lot. The technology, and it was amazing to see the kind of work that all of you are doing, even in the hardware, because one would have, and I agree that I would have always said if I look at the machine, oh, is that made in China? But it's great to be made in India, and because that gives the confidence that it will be ruggedized, it will be adaptable to India, and if we are able to dispense the cash the way Tech Mahindra or Saral Dhan showed, I think we are reaching out where a cashless dream can be possible to a larger extent. I know it is never going to be 100% cashless, but yes. And with the government supporting the initiatives of NREGS and other initiatives where subsidies are directly passed down to the bank account, that also is going to help us move change to the cashless dream that we would have looked at dream. Because if we look 5 years back or 10 years back, it was just a dream, and we always thought so many villages, so many rural people, it's not possible. And with the government of India, the way it puts the cudgels on for any industry, it was impossible. But today I think it is going, it's surely some more years, but they're reaching us.
So we did see a couple of presentations where we are talking about cash out of the system. So the problem in this whole ecosystem is cash out. So did you see anything interesting? Because if you were to solve that cash out problem, then possibly we are breaking out of the chains that banks have kind of held the country down by. Right? RBI as a regulator and the banks, by not allowing cash to get out of their systems, has actually held the country back. So is there anything that we see here which is even moving towards cash out?
Again, fascinating. And as I kept listening to our presentation, I was waiting for someone to talk about this. It is strange that no one does. Because, much of the discussion on financial inclusion over the last 10 years or so, when we have seriously been discussing it in policy circles, has been around the regulatory issue. And in trying to understand this doggedness of a central bank in not allowing corporates and telcos to take on the issue of accepting deposits and giving away cash. I must confess that I also belong to that rather conservative sector that believes that banking is a sacred system, which is that backbone of the economy, and any let up there can result in distrust towards the banking system. It can lead to some serious consequences. So that kind of conservatism will always stand in the way in reaching this real ideal
I just
of
want
people
to push
giving.
back and interject here and say that despite all that tight regulation, despite all that RBI says, all the financial scams in India originate in the banking system. So, it isn't as if you held something so tightly, you prevented a Harshad Mehta, you prevented a Kitchen Palace, you prevented any of the scams.
I can't agree more, Bhumika. For example, the entire MTA issue, right?
That's right.
It's such a big scam, and nobody even talks about
But
it.
why isn't there more pressure from ground up to say that, look, neither are you a good regulator, nor have you done a great job. By staying in a cave, you're not helping anybody.
I don't know if I can answer this, but I think that pressure will come when people start getting into the system. So many people there who are obviously never part of that part of the financial system now are, and I think that pressure will work rather than any other tough dealing with the RBI, because it is fairly insulated and looks from a very didactic kind of position, in which it has its merits. That argument does appeal to people like us. But that pressure has to come. Unless that comes, it is going to be very difficult if it's just going to be a one-way street.
Yeah, I think looking at hearing various people talk about, and if I said we were talking about financial inclusion, business inclusion, I think actually what's happening is the social inclusion of so many more people, and take cue from Dr. Khan, that yesterday's election turnout is a representation of society getting enlarged as a participative society. And I think that pressure will also build up, whether it was about the politics is going to come back to the financial systems also, when people get aware what really is happening, where the cash gets out, where is it missing, and what are the controls required. And I think due credit to the new governor, at given time, I think he will also, with his background of education and having done what he has, I think we are moving towards that NPAs and things will get reduced, should get reduced, because those tightening of measures on the banking is required, while the confidence of citizens of the bank should go up.
Again, if the pushback is terrorism and its financing, then a fully wired system is much easier to track than cash. So the only reason why 9/11 cash transactions got tracked was because it was through the electronic system. So I want to throw this open because you people are actually out in the field. Any comment or conversation that you want to initiate around this area of, as practitioners, what is it that you want the regulator to do, and what kind of pressure does this community want to put on the government and the regulators? I'm happy to take.
Just to add to that question to all of you is, especially those who mentioned it and some I'm sure who use it but didn't mention it, how much of an impact does Aadhaar have? Finally we have this 190. That was one of the biggest problems in most of you getting across to people. Is that one of the game changers or the game changer that is so I just wanted to get that from you.
Any comments? Yeah, so.
Thank you again for giving the opportunity. One thing I just in my mind, challenging is the involvement of the unbanked and poor and underprivileged people in the financial inclusion system. This is the most important challenge because lots of banks are there, they have online business. With the money bank, with the some but importantly, the poor and underprivileged people, those are away from the access to the IT. That is, they have the inaccessibility. So this is important, and if we can do that by different devices, as discussed today by our different presenters and also myself, then we can do something and create something that must make some difference. And we hope that the world may do that for the poor people, and then actually we can reach the goal of e-inclusion and e-financial inclusion. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Can I? Hi.
Okay, I will come to you afterwards.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sameer. I'm the founder of the company called R2 that my colleague just presented. So two quick points. One, that every time we try to innovate and push the envelope a little, try to move things paperless, make it hassle-free, we always get a pushback from financial partners because they say, is this RBI approved? First get the RBI approval, then you go forward. So it's very hard to sort of create pilots, very hard to sort of innovate in this space. Next point, that RBI has done a great job with this new PPI instrument, prepaid card instruments there, and they've created these semi-loop cards which allow you to do about 10,000 rupees or 25,000 rupees as transactions. We use them for domestic remittance. But so the idea is simple. You have a prepaid virtual card, you put in money, and you can take that and move money into a bank account. Now, just that concept can be further extended. You can link it to ATMs, where I go into an ATM and I put in my card number and I put in my PIN and I can cash out. Everything is there, the infrastructure is there, but we're not able to do that. So, your quick comments on that?
It's a great point.
It's absolutely.
Hemal, we come to you.
Thank you again. Going cashless is not going to stop frauding. Going cashless is actually opening new doors to different kind of frauds. Right? I'm sure you are aware of the things that you could do in manipulating in US statement, right? In a fraction of a second, you could make a whole transaction and hold it back, and you can make billions of money. And there are people who are collecting from the penny jars in there. And right now we are working closely with Lanka Pay. We are actually they are the people who are making the central bank FA system, the Lanka Pay system. We are doing the penetration testing over there. Since we doing the testing, we have seen like there are a lot of other intruders trying to attack the system. So going paperless, becoming opening another window for people who have the ability to hack your system. So paperless is very interesting idea, but then again, you have to be very careful about the intruders and paint time. So you have to be very careful on that.
This is a very Indian response, where because what we have become accustomed to seeing over the last few years is these trucks with cash moving around. That is why we hope that with lesser cash there will be lesser trucks.
Okay.
And also, I think technology will have a solution to all the problems. That's what the regulation has to stay in step with the times and design systems so that that misuse doesn't happen, rather than keep us in still in the case where we are still exchanging paper.
Yeah, these comes up in people come up with different ideas, they have new ideas like, yeah, we are doing constructive new ideas, so there are people who come with destructive ideas as well.
Absolutely.
And that's how the wheel runs, if there is no challenge, we won't be doing it.
Yes, sir.
I was going to add that security issue. Okay, this is like an airline accident versus car accidents on the street.
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of people die, never makes it to the newspaper. Airline accident stays for 6 weeks. So I think going cashless is the way. I don't think there's a debate there, honestly. But to go back to your issue about Aadhaar, the debate today, obviously it's political, but there seems to be a significant amount of debate about things like privacy. Okay, and there are both. There is one domain that says, hey, privacy is all an upwardly mobile issue. So the average farmer, average villager does not worry about it. And the other side is, no, you're misrepresenting the farmer. I think the key issue for Aadhaar, from a empowerment perspective, the fact that an individual has a number that is recognized by a bunch of government agencies, I think that itself is phenomenally powerful. It may not solve all our problems, certainly not. Financial inclusion, farming, all those issues. But the fact that 60-70% of the cases, people can stand up and say, "Mera number yahi hai." You can't refuse service. I think that is phenomenally powerful as something in this country.
So I'm gonna.
Sanjay is the astrologer.
But what it clearly looks like is that we will have 60-70% people, in the formal banking sector, and that's quite a big deal. I mean, that really means that especially a lot of these farmers who are in such mean debt can get out of this, and we could see some of those headlines going away, those farmer suicide kind of headlines. So it's a significant, no doubt about it.
I think banking is going to change the life. We have seen some of the path-breaking or innovations that are happening with all of you here. And that I always say that technology is going to be the enabler, and I think yes, 60-70% easily should be in 5 years the banking we publish, that is banking, part of the publish that is banking with the banks will be 60-70% easily. And second, I think the mobile devices have changed that life. It's become, and I was hearing so many things about how the mobile is being used. So I think this communication revolution which has happened should continue, and government should also let this flourish more and penetrate the rural sector with a focus.